Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Sunday, of course, it is match day. Chelsea versus Arsenal kicking off a little bit later on today at Stamford Bridge. Big game for Arsenal as they look to arrest this slump that they have found themselves in the last few weeks. An opportunity, of course, to close the gap to Manchester City, of course, after their defeat. 4 defeats in a row. First time ever in Pep Guardiola's career, losing at Brighton yesterday, throwing away a lead about 15 minutes to go. Liverpool took full advantage of that with their win against Villa to move, I think, 7 points clear of Manchester City, or 5 points clear of Manchester City. Sorry, and 10 points clear of Arsenal. So Arsenal need to get back on track and get back on track quickly. And there's no better place to do that than at Stamford Bridge, where they do have a very good record in recent years. But it's certainly going to be a difficult game. Chelsea going into it in the back of decent form, Arsenal going into the back of it on pretty awful form. So not going to be easy. So we're going to talk about that in today's show. We're going to look at what Leandro Trossard, a player who a lot of people don't think should be in the team, has been saying ahead of today's game. Look at what some of you guys have been saying ahead of today's game. Look at some of the decisions facing Mikel Arteta. And of course, we'll go through the predicted 11 as always on a match day, and what a big day it is. I think the first key thing is what's going to happen with Martin Odegaard. Mikel Arteta has a decision to make. Obviously, we all know and are expecting that the return of Martin Odegaard is or should lead to a big improvement in terms of Arsenal's attacking output. They've missed their captain massively, understandably so. You take the best player or such a key player out of any team, they struggle. Look at Manchester City. Take Rodri out of that team, completely different side as results show. Take Martin Odegaard out of Arsenal's team, they're obviously going to be a different side, and they have been. Initially, they coped with it relatively well, changing the formation, tweaking things here and there. They coped with it pretty well and continue to pick up results. Now, as it's gotten longer and longer since he's been absent, then those results have dipped and the performances have certainly dipped. But he is back now. We saw him in midweek against Inter Milan, only for a few minutes. Can he start today? That's a decision facing Mikel Arteta. I would be surprised, I have to say, but it's got to be very tempting. If Arteta thinks he's fit, and he did say, obviously, in his team news update in the press conference, anyone who is in the squad is fit enough to start. So he must be mulling over the idea of giving Martin a start. There are obviously pros and cons to it. There's no way you'd think he could last 90 minutes. So if you're starting Martin Odegaard, you're basically saying, try and give me an hour and then we'll take you off. Is that enough? I don't know. Or would you rather try and keep things tight or stay in the game, and then for the last half hour you put Martin Odegaard on against a tiring Chelsea? Could that be the difference? So that's the decision facing Mikel Arteta. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see some pictures of him in training. Yesterday, he's been training all week, obviously, which is great. The fact that he came on against Inter, although I don't think the plan was to bring him on, he obviously got rushed on when Kai Havertz got that injury. But the fact he came on, showed that Arteta wasn't overly concerned about putting him on the pitch against Inter Milan. But it's going to be very different about starting a game. If you do start Odegaard, though, you just know what you can do. You can change the formation. You can go back to the 4-3-3 type formation that Arsenal love to play and are very well versed in. And you just automatically add another key attacking cog to the wheel that has really struggled in his absence. He will work hard. If you put Odegaard in, you know what you're going to get from him. Even if he's not 100% fit, he will still give absolutely everything. But I would be surprised, I have to say. I think you're pushing it a little bit if you think he's going to start. But it's certainly a decision facing Mikel Arteta, and he's got plenty of them. Declan Rice, is he going to be fit to play this game? Is it worth risking him with a broken toe? Yes, you can put an injection in there. Yes, you can null the pain and he can probably get through it, but is that good for the long term? So that's going to be going through his head at the moment as well. Kai Havertz, is he fine? Is that cut going to open up again? Does he need to wear something protective? Wait and see. Obviously, there's no Raheem Sterling. Mikel's been talking about Raheem Sterling in the build-up to this game and his lack of minutes. Well, he's not going to get any minutes today. We know that. He's on loan from Chelsea, so he can't play in this game. So that's one of Arsenal's attackers, even if we haven't seen him play very much recently. It's one of Arsenal's attackers who can't operate today. So lots of things for Mikel to consider when he's naming his team. And I would say probably the involvement of Declan Rice and the possible involvement of Martin Odegaard are the two real ones that he'll be sort of mulling over in the last few days. Right, we're going to go into my predicted 11 now for the game. Now, this is what I think Mikel might go for. It's not the 11 necessarily that I would go for. It's the one that I think he's going to change something. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's Gabriel Jesus coming in for the start. I think Trossard might make way in this game. I think he'd be incredibly fortunate to stay in the team at the moment, Leandro Trossard. And I think Mikel probably will do something to try and change Arsenal's fortunes. I can't see it being Odegaard, but I could see it being Gabriel Jesus. So this is what I'm going for. Obviously, in defence, I'm going Raya in goal. Again, there's still no Calafiori, obviously, with that injury. So you're going to have Timber at left back, Gabriel Saliba and Ben White making up the back four, providing there's no injuries, of course, that we don't know about. So Thomas Partey then moving into midfield and staying in that central midfield role where he's played so well. We have Declan Rice, and I think he might drop Kai Havertz back into more of a midfield role for this one. So I wouldn't be surprised if the three is Partey, Rice, and then Havertz playing as a sort of right 8 role, where Odegaard will usually operate. And then the front three, Saka, Jesus leading the line, and Gabriel Martinelli. Now, obviously, this is just a hunch. This is what I think he might do. This isn't based on any information, so don't take this as read, but it's what I think. I have to admit, when I'm going over the team that I would play, I think I would probably, I think I'd probably go Partey, Rice, and Nwaneri, and I'd put Havertz as a 9 in the team that I would play, and the rest of it would be the same. I think I've been saying for a while, I think that Nwaneri should be getting a start. I don't think he would start him today, because if he's not going to start him at home to Leicester or Southampton, I can't see him throwing him in against Chelsea away from home. But I think he's ready, and I think he'd be absolutely fine playing there. So I think the team that I would play myself would be Partey, Rice, and Nwaneri in midfield, and then Saka, Havertz, and Martinelli. But the 11 I think Mikel will go for: Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber, Partey, Havertz, Rice, Saka, Jesus, and Martinelli. Aurora Freak has got in touch with his starting 11. He says he'd go Right, White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Timber. A midfield then of Rice, Marino, Saka, then Nwaneri, Jesus, and Havertz. So I think that's probably your 4-3-3, and you're playing Nwaneri, Marino, and Rice as the midfield, and then Saka, Jesus on the left. Is that? And Havertz up front. I presume that's the 3 that you would go for. So that's another shout for Nwaneri in there. Aaron asked below, Max Dowman has joined in first team training after missing out on the under-18s game. Sterling is out of the game, so we have a space left on the bench. Do need a backup winger. Does that mean Dowman could be a member for the Chelsea game at the age of 4? I would be very, very surprised. Look, he's trained with the Arsenal first team before. That's not the first time Max has joined in Arsenal training. I'd be stunned. I mean, look, who knows? He put a 15-year-old on the bench against Brentford a couple of years ago and brought him on in that game. So you can't say absolutely beyond the realms of possibility, but I'd be very, very surprised if a 14-year-old Max Dowman is included in the Arsenal squad to play Chelsea away. I'd be really shocked. Look, he's an incredibly exciting talent. Obviously, we know that. But 14 years old. The mad thing is about that is I actually showed a picture of him to my wife yesterday when we were watching TV in the evening, put the kids to bed. I was just flicking through and I was looking at the pictures of Dowman in training. I said to my wife, I was like, how old do you reckon this kid is? And she said 18. I was like, 14. It's just mad. I mean, at 14, remember what I looked like at 14 years old? I couldn't sneak into a shop and try and buy fags at 16 years old. I'd get laughed out of the shop. I look so young. And yeah, he's sitting there training with the Arsenal first team. Just mad. But yeah, I'd be very, very surprised if he's in the squad for this game. Very surprised. Okay, Leandro Trossard has been talking. I mean, look, he's a player that we've all been talking about in the last week or 2 weeks or so because of his drop-off in form. Hasn't scored or got an assist in the last 5 games. Not really impacting the team in any sort of way in an attacking sense in the last few games. He's not the only one. A lot of players have been underperforming in terms of the attacking output at Arsenal. But he's been speaking about some of the sort of negative criticism that Arsenal have had in the build-up to the Chelsea game and in the last couple of weeks. He was asked about the comments, Arsenal now too defensive and things like that. And he says, no, we don't have that mindset at all going into games, but every game has a different outcome. If you go down to 10 men or you're at a tough place and only 1-0 up, you have to manage games. We've been really good at that from the moment Arteta was at Arsenal. It showed that he wanted to play out from the back, getting good positions in the box and play good football. There's no instruction to play cautious. It all depends on game state. Sometimes you have to do that. We need more goals. We know that. Everyone is working hard. At one point, it will click. We'll do everything in our power to make that time this Sunday. Well, that'd be a very, very nice time for it to start. In terms of the struggles for goals and whether he's confident Arsenal will get back on the goal trail soon, he said it was a similar path last year. People were doubting us scoring, But then in January, we had a spell where we were putting 5 past opponents. Every season, you have a rough period, and it's down to us to get going again. The belief in this team is still really high. We have such great players. We can turn it around quickly. And I've no doubt they can turn it around quickly. That's the thing. And he's right to point back to that spell at Christmas. It was exactly the same. Arsenal were really struggling. They couldn't create. They were playing this horseshoe type football. We were all wondering when the next goal was going to come from or the next good chance was going to come from. And then they did just go on that remarkable run when they smashed West Ham. They smashed Burnley. They were just scoring goals left, right, and centre. Yes, they're not going off to Dubai, unfortunately. It'd be very nice if they could have a week to stay in Dubai and they could come back refreshed from that. But football does sometimes just click. So, and this team is good enough to score goals. We know that. They scored over 90 goals last season in the Premier League, so they can score goals. But it does need to happen very, very soon. It does need to turn around. And hopefully today is the time to do it, although I would take any win today. 1-0, scrappy, set-piece goal, repeat of the Tottenham game. I would take that all day long today, I have to say. Right, a couple of questions now before we wrap this one up today. Mr. Dynamite says, with City losing yet again, I'm getting real 2016 Leicester City PL Champions vibes again, where the nailed-on favourites keep on dropping points for once, but we couldn't find the consistency to take the opportunity and someone else beat us to it. Instead, yeah, I mean, unbelievable. I came in, I'd been at my mother-in-law's yesterday, and I turned on the TV and Brighton were 1-0 down. And within a minute, they'd equalised, and then I saw them score the winner. So I take full credit for that for that win for Brighton. But yeah, 4 defeats in a row for City. Mad, isn't it? First time in Pep Guardiola's career. It shows it can happen to anyone. It shows the difference of taking a couple of players out of the team through injury. What a massive impact that can have on even the best of teams. And Arsenal have had to deal with that all season with injuries to key players, of course. But look, Arsenal just got to turn it around. I watched the Liverpool-Villa game. I'm still not convinced by Liverpool. And I know maybe I'm being stupid by that because they are so far clear now. And, if Arsenal don't win today, if they lose today, they're going to be 10 points behind Liverpool, which is a massive gap to make up to such a quality team who are going to score so many goals. And Liverpool's attacking options, they're always going to win games because of how many goals they score. But I still watched that match against Villa yesterday. And I just was not convinced by what I was seeing, which... and so I don't know why, and maybe it's a mistake, but I'm still looking at Manchester City and how big that gap is rather than how big the gap is to Liverpool at this moment. If this goes on much longer, then obviously that's going to change and Liverpool are going to put themselves in that unbelievable position to go on and win this league. They take advantage of everyone else slipping up, and at the moment they are doing exactly that. So we'll have to wait and see on it. Yeah, I'm still... I think it's just because it's City and we've just what we've come to expect. But I'm still looking at that gap first of all, rather than the gap to Liverpool at the moment. But look, Liverpool doing brilliant things. Fair play to them. It's been a brilliant start for them. They've got confidence now. They're on that sort of run of form that Arsenal had a couple of seasons ago when they burst out the blocks and won all of those games and gave themselves a lead. But that lead fell away. The only difference is, I suppose, Liverpool have been there and done it, and they've got players who know how to get themselves over the line. Arsenal didn't, so that might help Liverpool in the long run, but they've got some really tricky away games still to come, Liverpool. They've had a very advantageous start to the season in terms of fixtures, certainly when you compare it to Arsenal. So we'll see how they do when they head off on their travels and play some of these big away games that they've got coming up. On what we were talking about yesterday on Raheem Sterling and Mikel Arteta admitting or saying that he's made a mistake in the lack of minutes so far he's given Sterling since he's been at Arsenal. We had loads of response to that. Very, very mixed. There's a couple here. Big Fun says, I'm surprised Sterling hasn't had much of a chance since coming in. Aside from Saka and our wide players have been average to poor. And we have a good player of such experience sitting on the bench. It seems bizarre, especially in Milan when you know he can't be included in the Chelsea game. At this point, he needs to be thrown in and used, give him a chance to show what he can bring to this team. But then Robin says, Sterling was a free hit. At best, he gives us some goals and assists and provides decent cover. What Arteta is seeing is a player that can't be trusted in press or in defence. I personally say is worth risking because he is a threat, but we know Arteta doesn't work like that. The one thing there is, and I kind of get what you're saying, but in the last 2 games against Newcastle and against Milan, when you're desperately needing a goal just to get something out of the game, I don't think how you press or how you defend has to be the key thing. If you're getting thrown on for the last 15 to 20 minutes, you're basically being thrown on and told, go and get a goal, go and create a goal. I don't think the main worry if you're a sub at that sort of game state is defending. So I don't see why that should really come in to Arteta's thinking. Maybe if you're starting a game away at Manchester City at 0-0 and you're thinking about starting him, that's when you'd be worried about what defensive duties he's got to do. But if you're chasing a game and you just desperately need a goal to get something from it, I'm not sure that needs to be the first thing in your mind when you're throwing a player on. And so I don't see why that would have stopped him using Sterling. But thank you very much. Like I said, there was so much reaction to that as well. If you want to get involved in it, you can go and have a look in the comments to yesterday's video. Right, that's it from me today, everyone. Thank you very much. I'm not at the game today, but I'm going to be watching it. I'll try and do a video after the match in terms of player ratings and match reactions. So come and join me for that. And if you want to be involved in that or tomorrow's reaction show, you know what to do. Get down into the comments after full time. Leave your comment on what you saw. Hopefully what impressed you in a very good Arsenal win. But if not, what didn't impress you. All your comments, your opinions, get into the comments. I'll pull something together and get them included in tomorrow's reaction show. Right, that's it. Thank you very much. Have a great day, everyone. Enjoy the game later. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.